This is Fox 11 Forum, a look at issues of concern to Tucson and Nogales, with your host, Bob Lee.
Good morning. There's big doings in Willcox, Arizona, 85 miles east of Tucson this coming week. As it has been doing for almost half a century now, Willcox honors a rather well-known hometown boy with a parade, country fair, concert and dance, a PRCA rodeo, and a lot of other activities. Now, this boy gained fame as a singer, cowboy movie star, and narrator of countless Walt Disney nature documentaries. It's the 47th annual Rex Allen Days celebration. My guest this morning is the Arizona Cowboy, Rex Allen Sr. Stay with us.
I was born in Arizona, among the cactus and hills, and the memory of my childhood is Tulirolum, tiralum, tiralum, tiron. I'm an Arizona cowboy and the desert's my home.
Welcome back. My guest this morning is the Arizona Cowboy, Rex Allen, and nowadays they call him Rex Allen Sr. because there is a Rex Allen Jr. as well. But we want to talk with Rex and obviously talk about Rex Allen Days a little bit later on in the program, something that's been going on in your hometown for about 47 years now.
Long time.
Well, I'd like to ask you, obviously a lot of people in these parts didn't grow up here. They moved here from someplace else like myself. But what was it like in Willcox, Arizona, which is and was a ranching community, a farming community? What was it like growing up there in the 1930s?
Well, it was the cattle capital of the world then. My dad was in the trucking business, and we hauled all the cattle that went to market in those days in trucks and down old cow trails and stuff. It was pretty rough. Also, we had the great drought and tough times in the 30s when it didn't rain for about 20 months. All the cattle died and all the people got the itch, and it was a rough time in the 30s.
What did you do for entertainment?
Not a lot. My dad used to play fiddle for dances and stuff, and that's how I got started playing guitar. He needed somebody to accompany him, and he got me a Sears Roebuck guitar and taught me a few chords, and we got away with it.
Was singing something that was a part of everyday life at that point?
Oh, yeah. I sang in 2 church choirs and the glee clubs in high school, and I always wanted to be a singer.
So in high school, that was something you thought might make a good career?
Yeah, I had decided by that time that if anybody would let me sing, I was going to sing.
So once you graduated from high school, how did you proceed to pursue that career?
Well, I went to New York City and tried to break into radio there. They didn't, they couldn't see me that well then. And I left there and went to Philadelphia and started with a group called the Sleepy Hollow Boys.
Mm-hmm.
And was in radio there with them. Then I went to Chicago.
WLS?
WLS, did the National Barn Dance for 5 years.
That was also the launch pad for Mr. Autry, wasn't it?
Yeah, a lot of people got their start there. Pat Buttram got his start, George Goble, and just lots and lots of people.
I think one of the things that people have a tendency to forget is that Western music was very, very popular in the East Coast.
Yes.
And that you mentioned the group that you were with, and there was usually every city of any size had a Western band or two, ranch hands this or cowboys that, so it wasn't unusual.
Well, in those days, this is before the disc jockeys and things like that. Mr. Petrillo would not let records be played on radio.
He was the president of the Musicians Union.
Right, so they bought him out and started playing records, but every little old radio station in those days had live music, and there were a lot of people who sang country and western songs, and I was one of them. And you could always get a job, didn't pay very much, but you got enough to eat on. And then when he started allowing recordings, they fired all the guys that were working live on radio stations and hired disc jockeys, and that's what it turned out to be now. You don't find any live music anymore.
So
on radio.
You took a cue and said, I better find something else to do, and is that how you more or less got to Hollywood and got into pictures?
More or less, yeah.
Now, you had a radio show about 1949 too, right, with CBS, I believe?
Yes, after I moved to Hollywood, I had a show on for Phillips Petroleum, and they were all over the country. They're not here in Tucson anymore. I don't know what happened to them, but we had a coast-to-coast show on CBS.
Well, then you got into pictures, and we're looking at we're going to look at some stills from some of those Republic movies that Herbert J. Yates cranked out. There's Jeff Donnell and Rex and his guitar, and you got your hat pushed back just like you do now, so we
got
can
more hair there.
Well, there's Carl Alfalfa Switzer from
it's Alfalfa.
He
was in my second picture. He only did one with me, but he was a cute guy.
And there's another one, I believe that's Jeff Donnell on Coco.
Yeah.
I want to talk about Coco in a little bit.
Yeah.
What was it like working for Mr. Yates? Now, you know, Roy and Gene and Rocky and Monty and all those guys worked for him at a time or another.
Well,
Wild
I got
Bill.
along good with him. He did everything he was supposed to do, and Gene had trouble with him, so did Roy. They had big lawsuits, but I never had any lawsuits. He paid me every week.
Is that how you got paid in those days, every week for making a movie?
Yeah.
You made 19 pictures for him, I think, in 4 years.
Yeah.
That's about 5 pictures a year.
Yeah.
That's a lot of movie making.
Yeah. Well, we always had a fast horse.
There's another good shot of Coco. In making those movies, I was only half kidding. You didn't spend the same amount of time turning out a movie in those days that sometimes they spend now making a Titanic or a Jurassic Park.
We made them in 8 days. 8 days. If the words were in it, it was a take. And I just talked to an actor, a friend of mine who worked on The Horse Whisperer. He had 2 lines and sang 1 song, and he was on the picture 3 months up in Montana. It's, by the way, if you haven't seen that, it's beautiful.
That's what I understand.
Go see it.
That's what I understand. And did you do all your, this is obviously you and a pair of horses here. How much of your own stunts did you do?
I did a lot of them. I didn't have to learn anything about the horse business because I grew up on the back of a horse. I needed double in the bedroom.
Now, we just saw a shot of a helicopter there. What was that doing in, I heard that. What was that helicopter doing in a Western?
Well, we made modern Westerns when they had helicopters.
Oh, I see. It looks like you got that suit at Nudies.
Yeah, that's a nudie suit.
One of the most famous costumers in Hollywood, I think.
He was a dandy.
I guess you kind of knew you arrived in the music business if you got a suit by Nudie. I think we have one more picture here of you playing the guitar.
I don't know,
that obviously
where
wasn't
in the world did you find all this stuff?
Oh, I have a library of Rex Allen material. There's Harry Lauder on the left there. He's a bad guy. And
that's Pappy Cheshire.
Pappy Cheshire, absolutely. Yeah. And I think Harry's son Ed is in pictures now, if I'm not, or some relative of his.
Probably.
And there's a campfire scene, which probably was shot indoors. Didn't you shoot when it rained, then you went indoors?
That was on a sound stage somewhere.
Yeah. And both you and the gal here look like you were really angry at something. A paycheck late that week?
Yeah, that was your number 4 look.
Number 4 look?
Yeah.
What was, there's Doug Fowley and Slim Pickens. And Slim was actually Slim there.
Yeah, old Slim.
And Doug
Slim
Fowley
did about 12 pictures with me, I think.
And
like that.
you weren't a Western star until you had your own comic book.
Had to have comic books. They weren't very funny.
Well, that's why they called them comic books. And I suppose that the comic books and those sorts of things were the common form of merchandising for movie cowboys.
Yeah. I didn't have that was just about over by the time I came in. Autry and Rogers had already soaked up that market. Everybody had Roy Rogers guns, and they didn't need Rex Allen guns.
Well, before we close out this segment, we want to mention that the other thing that sort of caught on about that time was television, and Roy and Gene had gone to TV, and you were an early series star as well, Frontier Doctor.
Yeah, it was in my contract when I started at Republic. I was not allowed to even go on television because they sold me as the one guy they'd never see on television. And then, of course, we did Frontier Doctor there at the studio, same studio. They finally, Mr. Yates thought television was just a kind of a little fly-by-night thing that would go away. But it didn't go away.
No, here we are.
Here we are.
And we will come back and talk more with Rex Allen. We'll talk a little bit about Rex's days with the Disney Company and take a look at some pictures of Rex off stage. And we'll do that when we come back. Stay with us.
Linger closer in my arms and dance the Arizona waltz while the songbirds fill the night with melody. Linger closer in my arms and dance the Arizona waltz. I'm in heaven when I walk.
Welcome back. We're talking with Rex Allen. Of course, Rex Allen Days coming up in Wilcox. Festivities get underway Thursday night with the Cowboy Hall of Fame dinner and all the rodeo and parade and everything the rest of the week, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. Rex, we pretty much covered the on-screen Rex Allen in the first portion of our program. We have some pictures that I think were taken by the studio, but they are not necessarily movie stills. These show Rex doing what I guess we are to believe that every Hollywood star did. Got up just like everyone else. The alarm clock went off, and
Yeah.
pick out the shirt you're going to wear, and
My gosh, that guy looks young enough to be my grandson.
and there was Weber's bread and the original Mr. Coffee machine, I think, there for for breakfast. And I think we're going to see some pictures. There's Rex Jr., I believe, at age 3.
Yeah. Isn't that something? He was Grand Marshal of the Tucson Rodeo Parade this year.
This past year.
Yeah, this past year.
And I think, now there, the guy in the center there is Glenn Randall, and I understand that he was the guy that furnished the livestock?
He trained...
Trained Coco?
Coco, and he trained Trigger.
There's a beautiful shot of Coco.
Yeah.
So named because of his color.
His color, he was chocolate color.
Which is sort of rare.
The other thing, I wanted to hit a younger audience, and I figured a little boy could say Coco before he could say Trigger or Champion. I had a method in my madness.
So okay. There's another shot of the miracle horse of the movies, as he was called. Who dubbed him that? The studio?
I don't know. Some publicists.
And there's Don K. Reynolds, better known as Little Brown Jug.
Yeah, he lived right across the street before where I kept Coco when I first bought Coco. Little Brown Jug, we called him.
There's Rex, the mayor of Studio City, as I understand. And
I served 2 years in that outfit, and I found out all I was doing is emceeing style shows at the restaurants and things.
There's an interview with Hank Penny at
Penny.
KGIO.
Gosh, where'd you get all this stuff?
I told you, I got a vast library. Now, there's R.G. Springsteen in the center. He directed some of your pictures. And, of course, Franklin Adrian there on the left.
He was a producer.
I think probably every other picture that Republic made was Franklin Adrian's production. And there's Mr. Granger, the number 2 guy at...
he left when I was there and went to work for Howard Hughes. And Howard used to call him from a payphone. He worked for Howard Hughes at Paramount for many years. And he never did meet Howard Hughes.
Never met him.
No.
There's Rex Jr. and
There he
Coco.
Yeah.
And I guess any stay in Hollywood probably would not be complete without a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Gotta have that, someplace to walk. I got to get somebody to polish that up a little.
The career changed a little bit after Frontier Doctor, and you had a hit record in 1962 called Sundunko Near the Indians, and I think somewhere around that time you started work for Mr. Disney.
Yeah, actually I worked for Disney about 5 years after I was at Republic. Well, I had dinner with him.
Is that how it came
Him and his
about?
wife one night, and that's when I met him at a nightclub called Ciro's there on Sunset Strip. And I guess it was about 2 years after I was there. And he said, I like your voice. Have you ever thought of narrating a film or pictures? And I didn't even know what he meant. I said, no, I never had. He said, why don't you stop by the studio sometime and we'll talk about it. Well, I beat him to the studio the next morning. And I did over 100 programs there for him over the years. And Walt was a great friend.
What was it like working for him compared to working for Herb Yates at Republic Pictures?
Well, they were both, had one thing in common. They were trying to make money in the theater business. And Walt was a lot different personality than Herbert Yates. He was just an all-around guy. Herbert Yates had been a tobacco salesman, and he spit and chewed, spit wherever he wanted to, and sometimes it wasn't very pleasant to be around him.
Mr. Disney, I don't believe, would have probably condoned that in his office. So you made 100 or so pictures that you narrated for Mr. Disney? I think they all had something to do with a coyote or a fox or a raven.
Every animal you can think of. We did them all 3 or 4 times.
You also recorded for Mr. Disney, Buena Vista Records?
Yeah, I did. I did an album there, I think.
And I think you also were a spokesperson for Purina Foods for a while.
Yeah, so lots of puppy chow.
And that brings us more or less to the present day, and we will be talking about the Rex Allen Days rodeo and lots of other festivities in Wilcox, and we'll do that when we come back as we continue our conversation with Rex Allen. Stay with us.
Shout and yell and holler like them. I wore moccasins on my feet, and I'd make believe I was under a teepee every time I went to sleep. My hair was jet black and I was 21, lots of pretty girls around. I'm an Arizona cowboy, and the desert's my home. I was.
Welcome back. Again, we're talking with Rex Allen. We're talking about, we talked about the old cowboy movies that we used to go to see on a Saturday afternoon. I think I paid one time 9 cents to get into the theater, and I saw 2 pictures. I'd see Rex Allen and maybe Roy or Gene or Tim Holt or somebody, and it was a cereal and a cartoon. And 9 cents. And we talked about the narration of the Disney pictures, and we want to talk a little bit about rodeo now. And of course, back in 1950, when Rex's movie career was kicking off, there was a Tucson rodeo, the Fiesta de los Vaqueros, and how appropriate but to have the Arizona Cowboy show up at the Tucson rodeo.
Yeah.
We have some pictures that we'll look at in a second here of some of the activities there. That's Rex in the plaid, and I think the other guys are folks who competed in the rodeo.
I can't see them to recognize them.
No, I don't think we know any of them except for the guy on the left there. And we have another picture here of you meeting Geronimo III.
I don't know whether he was any kin to Geronimo.
Well, they
or
claimed
not.
he was
claimed to be
Geronimo's.
a
Yeah, there was.
grandson or-
Yeah, over the years there have been relatives of Cochise and Geronimo who have made that claim, and we can only assume that they're being truthful.
Well, we hope so.
And we have another picture that's kind of interesting. The gal in the center there is Janet Lee, and that's you. And on the far right, it's not a very good picture, but that's Pima County Sheriff Ed Eccles.
Ed Eccles?
Ed Eccles.
Oh, boy.
And
he captured Dillinger.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. His most famous capture.
He was sheriff here for so many years.
The guy on the right is the governor of Sonora in 1950, Ignacio Soto, and that's our Arizona Governor Garvey there on the left.
Yeah.
Meeting the dignitaries. And again, this is at the Tucson Rodeo in 1950.
Well, I outlived both of them.
Absolutely. It's the cowboy clean living.
Clean living.
Brings us to the present, and Rex Allen Days. 47 years now, Rex Allen Days in Wilcox.
Yeah.
And it gets underway this coming week with the Cowboy Hall of Fame dinner. And among those being honored is Claude McNair, the newest inductee. Your dad was inducted last year.
Yeah, my dad went in it last year.
I understand Mr. McNair is a rancher over there in Cochise County.
Yeah.
What are some of the other activities with the Rex Allen Days?
Well, they have, on Friday, they have a big golf tournament, and Saturday morning starts the parade.
Which I guess you're going to be in?
Excuse me?
You're going to be in the parade?
I'll be in the parade, just giggling and whittling. And they, then they have a lot of things going on.
I think there's dances. I understand the international turtle race.
Probably about 15 dances going on all over town, and
there's a big concert this year with Jonna Jay.
Jonna Jay.
She is the
Pedro Gonzalez is there.
First Lady of Country Music, and there's a picture of Jonna Jay, and we'll listen to a little bit of her fiddling as we continue talking about her. I understand she plays a blend of country, western swing, bluegrass, classics, a little bit of everything.
Everything. She is a real master of the violin.
Was on Hee Haw at one time.
Cute little girl.
The easiest way to get to Wilcox from Tucson?
Get on I-10 and just go until you see that beautiful sign.
And that's
about 85 miles out of Tucson.
Should be a little less than an hour and a half drive.
Yeah.
Plenty of place to spend the weekend over there.
Lots of places, and I'll guarantee you, you'll have a wonderful time.
The Rex Allen Museum is probably a place that'd be a good place to pick up on some of the things we didn't talk about here today.
There's a lot of junk in there.
Well, you got to have some attic to store your stuff in, and it's nice when the public can visit your attic and see some of the things that are part of your career. Ticket information, you can call the Wilcox Chamber of Commerce at 1-800-200-2272. And the turtle race, that sounds like it's probably something recent.
That's the kids. The kids do that.
Is that what that is?
Yeah. It's been going on, I think, for 10 or 15 years.
Let me ask you one final question, Rex, as we come to the end of our program here today. As you look back over 47 years or so of Rex Allen Days and a tremendous career, how would you describe your show business career?
Fantastic. It's treated me really good, and I live in Tucson here now. I'm married to a lovely gal named Jenna, who is a ranch lady from Wilcox, Arizona, and she's a fantastic cook when I can get her to cook.
How do you want people to remember Rex Allen?
Oh, just remember what a great time I had, and how great this state of Arizona treated me, and how proud I am to be from Arizona. I've always been real proud of that. And I'm proud to be a Tucsonian. I live in Tucson now because it's close to where the doctors live.
Well, we're happy to have you a Tucson resident for whatever reason.
Enjoyed being with you.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank
We've been
you.
talking with Rex Allen. We're talking about Rex Allen Days, and it's coming up again. It all gets underway with the Cowboy Hall of Fame dinner this coming Thursday.